All right. So, Marco, what are we doing here?
That's a great question, Dan. What are we doing here?
Do we have an answer?
No!
Full disclaimer here. We are big fans of the YouTube channel Red Letter Media, and they often make prediction videos for upcoming movies. Usually they're very silly and often sarcastic predictions.
Well, normally they're predicting movies that everyone kind of expects to be rough.
They did it a lot for the Disney Star Wars movies. So this video is clearly inspired by that. We just want to be upfront about that. We're big fans of Red Letter Media. Go check them out if you've never seen them before. We are here to make a prediction video for the upcoming Robert Pattinson Batman movie.
The Batman.
In this case, it's because we're very excited for the movie, and we often talk privately about theories that we have for the movie, so we're like, fuck it, let's just put it all into a video and be done with it. Marco and I have assembled our favorite theories for the movie based on the 3 trailers that were released.
Yeah, should be clear. This is not coming from any leaks or anything. This is just based on the 3 trailers that we've gone by frame, and also just any osmosis knowledge I've gotten from Matt Reeves in interviews and stuff like that. That
mostly applies to Marco. I really just based my stuff off of the trailer stuff. We should mention that Marco is a resident Batman expert and fanatic. Yeah, he came prepared.
This is all the books that it's probably based on.
I think you should start being the
sure
bigger of the Batman fans.
Let's start. And also, Dan, just want to say thank you for joining me in the White Void.
When Red Letter Media do it, it's in a black void because it's very depressing.
Yes.
I.e. the Disney Star Wars series.
Insert clip of Luke and Grogu.
Use the Force.
We have chosen to use a white wall, even though we didn't really have a choice because this is Marco's house. Because we're hopeful for the Batman movie, even though, ironically, Batman. A black wall would have been more appropriate for Batman.
Yes.
I am wearing black for Batman, so.
I am wearing a Daredevil shirt. Because
I didn't even notice that. Yeah.
I don't have a Batman shirt with me today. So.
That's close enough. Okay, well, without further ado.
Yeah.
What is your first theory that you would like to present?
So, first thing we should talk about, you want to talk about the Waynes? Let's talk about the Waynes.
Sure.
So, I don't think we're going to see the murder of the Waynes. I think that's pretty safe to say. Matt Reeves, I think, has even said, he's not interested in that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and this is also from him, but also you can tell from the trailer, this is sort of a Batman year 2. It's not like an origin of Batman, it's more an origin of sort of where the character is going to go in his development. But he's already been Batman for a while. We don't need to establish why he put on the costume. Everyone knows that already. So in terms of the Waynes, what I do think we're going to get is something from the Batman Earth 1 comics, Earth 1 Volume 2 in particular, where we really delve into the history of Martha, because Wayne is the family name, so that's Thomas's last name. But Martha in the Earth 1 comics is in Arkham. Her name was Martha Arkham.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because so for those who don't know, and this actually kind of ties into the video games, Arkham Asylum in Batman lore, which is where all the villains are kept, originally started out as just a guy's house that was a doctor.
I did know that.
Yes.
Only from the games. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the idea being in the Earth 1 comics that Martha actually came from that family, which is kind of a corrupt, messed up family, and then sort of marries into wealth with Thomas Wayne, who's a part of essentially what is the Waynes in this universe, I think, are meant to be a bit more like the royal family almost. That's kind of the vibe I get from the trailer as well. The idea that Bruce is not so much a rich socialite. I think it's going to be more this is Gotham royalty here. And it's Bruce Wayne. I think that's more the vibe we're going for. And all of this, I should say, comes from, in particular, trailers 2 and 3, where the Riddler specifically calls out Bruce Wayne.
Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were, Bruce.
There's a point, it's an overhead shot of Arpats, and he's standing. He's standing in this thing that has all these lines connected.
Yes,
and
I have a couple of notes about that.
One of them says, "The sins of my father," and then of course there's the line where he says, "You lied to me, Alfred."
All these years, you lied to me, Alfred.
There's something going on with the Waynes.
So okay, bridging off that directly, I don't have anything about Martha,
okay.
But I do have particularly Thomas Wayne will not be the saint he is portrayed as in Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, totally.
Perhaps more corrupt, probably part of the problem of Gotham's current state. In general, lies seems to be a huge theme of all three of these trailers.
Yes.
If you are justice, please do not lie.
So
some truth is being revealed. I am interested to see if they go down the Martha route of her kind of being in Arkham and going into that. Oh, actually, well, I guess this could technically connect to like a villain's theory. Or like a potential even for sequels.
Okay.
Which is
Go for it.
the idea that like the Waynes... Maybe the thing that the Riddler is trying to expose in all this is the Court of Owls.
Ooh.
Which, for those who don't know, Court of Owls was in the New 52. Go listen to our Batman, like, Dark Knight Trilogy podcast where I explain everything about, like, comics. But anyway, in the New 52, which was, like, a new interpretation in the early 2010s, I think it was, like, 2011 it started, they brought in Scott Snyder, famous writer.
Not related to Zack Snyder.
Not related to Zack Snyder. To take over the Batman run. Actually, he had been writing Batman in continuity, but this was kind of like, alright, now it's yours. Do whatever the hell you want. And so the first story he told was called The Court of Owls. Invented these bad guys, and it's basically just the idea of this secret underground organization that goes back all the way through Gotham's history of the wealthiest people in Gotham. And they basically are like this gang, but they're called the Court of Owls, and they wear these like owl-themed masks, and it's very owl-themed. You know why?
Do I know?
Owls are the natural predator for bats.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Because comics.
Yeah.
Especially with Bruce saying, like, you lied to me, Alfred, and how it seems like all the Riddler's targets are these people that, like, even if it's not revealed to be the Court of Owls, even if the Court of Owls themselves don't necessarily appear in this movie, I think it sets up the idea that by the time the Batman has defeated the Riddler and found out that there is this, like, bad connection between these people, that potentially then, like, he develops that further in a sequel, and it turns out it's the Court of Owls that we know. So, like, people will go, oh, that's the Court of Owls, but we might not... Maybe it's even, like, a post-credit scene or something. Like, you see, like, someone with one of the Court of Owls masks, basically. So, and also, brand synergy. There's a new Batman game coming out.
That is supposedly on the Court of Owls.
Where the Court of Owls is in it. So,
Brand synergy, yeah.
I mean, that would be something they do.
Yeah, that's true. I want to jump over to my notes on Gotham City in general for this
Okay.
movie. Again, we've talked about that overhead shot of Arpats looking at all the clues, and there's like a bunch of names, right?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Penguin yet.
No.
I'm going to briefly mention him. These aren't all of my thoughts on Penguin, but I think he or the mob he works for will own many government officials, unsurprisingly, GCPD officers, and other figures of authority, and the Riddler will not support this. I don't think they're going to be working together.
Correct, I would agree with that.
Because of the shot that says names like Coulson, which I took a quick look at the IMDb cast. There's District Attorney Gil Coulson as a character.
I have a fact about that, which we can get into in a little bit.
Okay, cool. And also there's the name Savage for Commissioner Pete Savage. Mitchell is the mayor, Don Mitchell Jr., and there's the shot in the trailer, I don't remember which one, where Riddler or someone working for him crashes that funeral. If our theories are correct about the Riddler, that the mayor is probably like some sort of corrupt figure. And then again, tying back to the Sins of My Father thing, I'm sure the Waynes will be also tied up into that.
Yeah, whatever that is, whether or not it's
That
Court of Owls,
circle.
but that circle
Yeah.
of evil, whatever it is. Yeah.
You know, this Court of Owls thing is really... It feels like the glue that's holding all of these theories together now.
It's there. Like, why would you have them all be a part of some rich, evil organization and not have it be the Court of Owls?
But let's talk about Bruce and Selina as a team. So it's my belief that inversely to the usual narrative of Batman befriending Catwoman and sort of reining her in as a vigilante...
No guns, no killing.
Where's the fun in that?
I think perhaps we're going to get the opposite of that, where they take each other on as partners and Catwoman will have to try and rein Batman in from his, like, raw, unrefined style of vigilante work, just from what I've seen from the trailers.
Yeah, I can see that. Because I think this Catwoman is more put together than this Batman. She seems very secure in her Catwoman-ness. Like, she's been this character for a while.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Even though her look is very influenced from Batman Year One. Even her haircut, like a lot of like her look and the imagery surrounding her is kind of like plopped right from that.
And was she just starting out in that one?
Yes, but I mean that could just be a stylistic holdover, and maybe she is still more secure in what she's doing.
It's stylistically designed to be that way.
It's stylistically designed to be that way. But I also kind of get the vibe that she's very much in control and Batman is not.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
And she's kind of taming him a little bit, or at least trying to be like, hey, like look at the world in a different way.
And I think she'll probably be like an integral part of his origin in this adaptation.
I do too.
And I also think there might be some sort of uneasy rift between the two as their ideals differ, resulting in like their means of vigilance. That also ties in with my Robin theory, or I guess our Robin theory that we probably both have, that we'll get into in a bit. So I'll put that on hold for now.
Yeah, just like with Selina, I kind of get the vibe, like I feel like she is going to probably be where his no-kill rule to some degree comes from in this. Not that he's going around killing people like before, or I mean maybe he is, I hope he's not, I'm so sick of that, but like I like the idea that maybe she helps him be less violent.
Yeah.
Or like maybe she helps him be like smart. Like she helps him with the detective aspects of it.
That's a good point too. I think just in general she's going to help him be like a more sort of like orderly hero rather than just going around like trying to find any criminal he can just to like take his anger out on them with violence.
Gotcha. You know what I also definitely think? This is like 100% prediction, put it down though.
Okay.
Is I think she is going to be his first understanding in growing up of like not everything is black and white. Like I think she is going to be the physical character that embodies the metaphor of the movie, which is like you can be good and bad at the same time. And you can't just say that your parents were perfect and you're gonna go around and punch people because they do bad things. Like it's not as easy as that. I think like that's what she's gonna bring in their relationship, is him being like, oh, I have to look at this differently.
Yeah.
I can't just be a spoiled brat that goes around and punches people.
And I think she's gonna possibly to some extent agree with the Riddler and maybe try and convince Batman that he has some good points.
Yeah. Well, and I also, if we're going with the Batman Year One influence for her character, in that book, she starts off as this she's incredibly poor in this, like, terrible part of town that she's living in, and she also is, like, a dominatrix. Like, she's literally, that's, like, why she has the whip and the leather and stuff. So we kind of set that up for her, and then after sort of Batman shows up, she decides to, like, become a figure as well and do stuff. What I'm very curious about, though, two things. One, is she going to find out his identity, actually? And two, where are they going to end off at the end of this movie? Like, is this going to... I guess they're the same. Is this going to be like, hey, I'm Bruce Wayne, and you're part of the Bat family, and now you just, like, stay in the Batcave with me, and we fight crime together? Or is the end of this movie, is there going to be, like, a rift, where she's like, I'm done. Like, we can't... Or he's like, I'm done. We can't work together, or something.
You know, who knows? I also trust Matt Reeves, so, like...
I do, too. At the end of all this, we should just say, like, we both adore the Planet of the Apes movies.
Yeah.
And everything Matt Reeves has said about his interpretation of the character, like, and how much he loves Batman, like, I have full faith that this will all work out the way it's supposed to, and work out in a good way. In the trailer, we see that shot, beautiful shot, of Batman, looks like he's underground somewhere, and it's muddy, and he, like, lights a flare, and he's walking with this flare, which I think this is going to happen after the Riddler floods the city with his explosions or whatever. It looks like there's a lot of kids there. And I fully believe Batman is going, like, one of these kids is not going to have a family, or their family is going to have died, and that kid is going to be Dick Grayson. And I think it will happen during the runtime of this movie because, first of all, we've talked so much about how Batman's supposed to be a loner in this. If he, at the beginning, already had someone he was kind of training, I mean, he could, I guess, but I don't know if they would. I feel like if it's going to happen, he would, like, pick that person during the runtime of the movie. And then second, this way, it does give Selina a reason to be like, oh, now you're too weird for me now. Like, this isn't going to work. Like, why did you take this muddy kid from, like, the sewer water? Like, I don't like this.
The fact that he was from a sewer, is that the only problem?
Yeah, it's just, if it was any other kid, no, it's the fact that he was from a sewer. Yeah, so I think that might be how we introduce Dick Grayson. It's a possibility for it anyway. But here's sort of my theory that I've landed on, because you and I have had a lot of conversations about, like, Robin is so integral to the Bat mythos, like, of the character, But at the same time, it's like, how do you explain that? Because it's weird that he is like a child.
Well, the thing is, it is weird, but most of the interpretations haven't portrayed it as weird. Like,
No.
Like, at least most of the main ones. So I'm really hoping if we do cover that, they'll portray it as the weird thing that it is of
Yes.
taking on a kid sidekick.
And there's two ways to play it, and this is what I was kind of thinking about, right? There's the one way of the hypocrisy of Batman, like, wanting to be alone but never wanting to be alone. And, like, always having to, like, bring other people into his thing. And that what he's doing is bad. There's, like, that way of playing it. There was this other interesting take I heard, and I can't remember who brought it to my attention. It was probably on a podcast or something, but it's the idea that, like, okay, why does Batman fundamentally, like, take Dick Grayson in at the end of the day? And it's not because he sees what happened to Dick and is like, oh, perfect, I can turn you into me and I can have another one of me. But it's the idea, and I thought this was really cool, that, like, him seeing Dick Grayson lose his family at that age, like he did, Bruce brings him in because he's like, I want you to have a safe space to not become me. Like, I want you to see what I became, and I'll give you the tools to, like, be the better version of me, the not fucked up version of me. Which I think is a fair interpretation, and I think it also is cool because if you think about, look, this all breaks down if the kid is like 8. Like, that doesn't work. The kid can be 8 and maybe Bruce legitimately, like, adopts him, but he can't start robbining until he's, like, 13. Otherwise, it's like, you can't explain that. But the idea that, yeah, there's, like, this 12 or 13-year-old kid that Bruce is like, look, like, if I just leave you out there, you could become as fucked up as me. Maybe you won't become, like, a costume character, but you'll have the same trauma I have. So instead, I'm going to bring you in and I'm going to give you a safe way and give you the tools that you need and the training that you need to deal with this trauma. And I think that's cool, and I think because most Robin stories fundamentally end with Robin becoming an adult and going, hey, this is fucked up, I'm not doing this anymore, and moving away and becoming his own character, and the fact that his own character is literally a better version of Batman, because he's Batman but also has a life, and, like, has a girlfriend, and, like, has a job, and he's a human being that just does this on the side.
He's mentally in a better place.
Yes! So when I heard that theory, I was like, oh, I love that. That's so cool, of, like, Bruce bringing him in to be like, be better than me. Like, don't be this. Be, like, the next iteration of this. And it works. But because it works, that's why he ends up leaving eventually, which I think is, like, super cool. I really, really love that. And if we're going to do Robin in this, which I think we should, because I think if we're going to make this the most, like, best interpretation of comic book Batman, like, there needs to be some level of a Robin in this, even if he's not wearing, like, a red jumpsuit. Like, somehow that character has to be here. Do that. Like, over 3 movies, like, have him grow up, and at the end of the 3rd movie be like, fuck you, and leave. Like, that's how you do that character, I think. And then it also leaves room for why Bruce's second Robin, Jason Todd, is the exact opposite of that. Because Bruce brings him in, but this time is selfish and doesn't give him the tools that he needs to be a better person, so he does become too much like Bruce, and that's why he dies. Because, like, he's not Bruce, but he's trying to be Bruce. So it's like, it explains so much. It's so cool. I think that's such a cool, like, dichotomy there of, like, the 2 Robins, the one that was, like, successful and the one that wasn't. And it's because one Bruce was trying to be helpful and one Bruce was being selfish.
Or maybe you start with Jason Todd,
yes,
and use that as a learning point.
Yes, that would be cool.
For either, maybe in this universe, Dick Grayson could come after, or we just jump to, like, Tim Drake Robin or something.
Yeah, we go right from Jason to Tim. Yeah, I would be cool. I would be down with that too.
But either way, the second Robin would work out better.
Yes. I think that's a cool idea, and I think you could even do that. Like, you could even call the first Robin still Dick Grayson, but have him be the Jason Todd Robin.
True, yeah.
Just to, like, screw fans over so fans aren't, like, guessing it.
Yeah.
And then have the next Jason Todd Robin be the good Robin that becomes Nightwing. Like, you could totally do that. And I actually, that works cool. That works out well, too, because, yeah, it gives Bruce then a reason to be like, I want you to be better than me, because I tried this before. The only thing is then Bruce has to deal with everyone being like, dude, you just killed one, and now you brought another one in? But, like, you could explain that away. It's a movie.
I don't even think you'd have to explain it away. I think that would just contribute to the questionable morality that, like, Batman has to face, like, throughout his arc.
Yeah,
this is, everyone's telling me this is fucked up. Maybe
Guys,
it is
I have
kind of fucked
I
up.
have a good feeling about this. Trust me, this one's gonna make it. Like,
We got a little bit unlucky on last one.
yeah, Bruce, a child died. I want to talk a little bit about Alfred, if you
Okay.
don't mind.
I don't have anything prepared for Alfred, so I'm excited to see what...
Yeah, I think we are, just from looks alone, but also just a little bit of blurbs that like Andy Serkis has talked about in interviews. I think we're like definitively getting the Earth 1 Alfred, which was cool because in Earth 1, Bruce Wayne's parents were, like, rich and famous and whatever, and I think his dad was running for mayor, kind of like he was in Joker. Let's not worry about that. But Alfred was this former, like, SAS agent who Bruce's dad brought on as, like, his bodyguard. Like, he's not a butler, he was just a bodyguard. But when Bruce's parents are killed, in the will, like, Thomas Wayne left it so that way Alfred would take care of Bruce. And so there's actually this very, like, funny and sweet scene where young Bruce is like, so what are we gonna do? Like, they're sitting across from each other, and, like, Alfred, this SAS officer, is like, well, I guess I'm your butler now. Like, it's like a joke. Like, he's not actually his butler, he's just, like, his guardian. But in that universe, Bruce didn't, like, travel the world to learn about stuff. Alfred just, like, taught him how to be a badass, basically. Because, like, Alfred has military training. Now, I'd still rather that Bruce travel, because I like the idea of, like, I'm going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I'm going to make my own thing.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to get a hands-on, I am a badass Alfred in this, who is not the emotional, like, Alfred from the Nolan trilogy of, like, since I first heard your cries through these walls, but he's just like, what
And
the
he's
fuck?
not, like, geriatric.
No. He's,
Like in the,
like in Batman and Robin?
Yeah.
When he's, like, dying of that fake disease that Mr. Freeze has the cure to?
Yeah.
No, I think Alfred in this is just going to be a guy who is just, like, an officer who is probably Thomas Wayne's bodyguard, could even relate to, like, all these years and you lied to me, Alfred, like, he knew something was going on, but he's not like a butler, he's not going to wait on Bruce. I think they're just going to be like teammates, basically. He's going to be his guy in the chair. He's a reluctant guy in the chair.
That's cool. It's also like a, it's like a James Potter and Sirius Black relationship between Thomas and
yes,
Alfred.
You could totally do that. Yeah, you could make that
'Cause
really cool.
I'm picturing them, they'd probably be like the same age, compared to, like, again,
Yes, to normal. Yeah.
to Alfred being much older, yeah.
Yeah, I think Alfred in this is going to be maybe a bit older than Bruce's dad, but, like, fundamentally the same generation almost. Like, they're not, it's not going to, yeah.
Definitely older than Bruce, though, unlike the Ben Affleck one, where Alfred and Bruce are basically, like, the same age.
Yeah, I would agree. He's definitely older than Bruce in this, just from the few shots we've seen of him.
Yeah. So, in terms of the villains, the Riddler specifically, whether or not he is quintessential Riddler, we don't really know. I think he will have had some sort of previous tie to Bruce Wayne, be it an acquaintance or a familiar tie, occupational perhaps. Maybe he used to work at Wayne Enterprises. And I think he will have had a falling out with Bruce somehow, whether Bruce knows it or not.
Yeah.
I.e., the "see you in hell" note
Yes.
left at one of the crime scenes.
Yes.
We will see that the Riddler knows Bruce Wayne is Batman because we know that from the trailer as well.
Yes, I think, I mean, it could be maybe just a clever piece of editing.
Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were. Bruce Wayne.
But I think it's very clear, even if it's not in that line that he says, you're really not as smart as you look, Bruce Wayne. Maybe those are two different lines, but regardless, I agree. I think the Riddler's going to know that Batman is Bruce Wayne in this movie. I like the idea of the Riddler being attached to the Wayne family in some way. A lot of different interpretations have done that, including Batman Forever, which is an awful movie, but that's okay. The idea of, like, the Riddler being a disgruntled employee, I think, is fair. And I also think, like, it goes to kind of tying in with the Waynes a little bit. I think this movie's going to be very much about class, actually. I kind of get that vibe. And about the Riddler kind of taking down some of the rich pillars of Gotham. Because Gotham is very much divided in terms of, like, royalty, upper class, and then everyone else just being a complete disaster. Yeah, Penguin I also think is going to be just sort of he exists in Gotham in this movie, which I don't mind because I've always preferred Penguin as just sort of like another shitty person in Gotham. Like, I feel like whenever you try to make Penguin a centralized threat, it kind of falls apart.
He's not really main villain material.
No, because he is just a gangster who
Yeah.
owns like a club. But like in that, Penguin comes up a lot as just like Batman needs information, he's has a dead end, and then he just goes to Penguin, who runs this like club, and just like shakes him down. And it's like, all right, what do you know? I know you know something. What do you? But it's like just that idea of like a sort of like Falcone in Batman Begins.
Okay, I have a direct note about that.
Okay, great.
Penguin will be an up-and-coming mobster, unlike previous portrayals where he's an untouchable mob boss like Kingpin and Daredevil.
Yep.
So I am not here to threaten you. I'm here to kill you.
And I think much like Falcone in Batman Begins, he will be an earlier capture for Batman, like earlier in the film, perhaps.
I could see that. Because we only really see, I'm trying to think of the trailers. There's the, whoa, take it easy, tough guy.
Yeah.
Whoa, take it easy, sweetheart.
But I think that will probably lead directly into the car chase that
The
we
chase.
see. And at which point Batman's going to capture him, obviously, from that last shot where his car flipped over. So
As I said, Riddler and Penguin will not be working together in this film. Maybe Riddler tips Batman off about the Penguin's doings in that prison interrogation scene in the trailer, and leads him to the Iceberg Lounge, perhaps, because there's a character in the cast who is an Iceberg Lounge hostess. And I'm thinking that nightclub that we see is like a modern interpretation of that.
Oh, that would be great.
I feel like Penguin runs that, or like works there, or like hangs around there or something.
That's sick. I like that. So we should say the Iceberg Lounge is famously sort of what Penguin runs as like his scheme to make money and stuff like that.
It's like a front.
It's like a front. It's like his front.
In previous iterations, like obviously in the Arkham City game, it's just sort of this like high society sort of like pub. Not pub. Pub is too low class of a term for it.
Like a fancy hotel almost.
It's like something out of Goodfellas.
Yeah. I definitely like the idea that we're going to establish these sort of comic book or video game or animated, basically anything that's not an actual movie. Like, I like the idea that we're in movies finally going to establish these like mainstays of Gotham. Of like
these locales.
Yeah, this is like Penguin's district, like the Iceberg Lounge and whatever. And like setting that up, I think is going to be very important for the future of the franchise.
Yes, and directly jumping off of that, I think much like the Arkham games, particularly Arkham City, Gotham will host different factions of various Batman villains / adversaries.
Okay.
Joker will be a person who exists already in Gotham, and he's never seen in the film, but he's only alluded to in passing as a low-tier criminal. Someone who's lurking around the city, not yet possessing his legendary status that we know him for, and he will not yet be on Batman's radar.
Okay.
Because obviously we do see the Joker makeup people in the trailer.
So now I have to unfortunately shatter the illusion we've all had for the last 2 years.
Go for it.
Confirmation bias is a thing. And 2 years ago, in 2020, a Batman trailer came out. And at the end of that trailer, we cut to this group of thugs, and most of them are out of focus or just like in the background, and they're all wearing white makeup. And there's one in the front wearing white makeup, and he's got like a little thing here, like a smile, it looks like, on his face, and he's wearing white makeup. And Batman beats the shit out of him. And we all thought, guy in white makeup with a smile, Batman beating the shit out of him, Joker. Has to be, right? I went back and freeze framed on that image of the thug going, what the hell are you supposed to be?
The hell are you supposed to be?
And I looked at all the background thugs, and I've discovered none of them are wearing Joker makeup. They have their face painted like skeletons. And the reason why is because this movie, the setting of this movie is like Halloween. Like this movie takes place like in a week around Halloween.
Oh.
So none of these guys are even because like one of the guys only has like half his face painted, and when you look at the main guy that says it, the little smile has like black lines in it, like he's a skeleton, like his eyes are blacked out because he's a skeleton. He's not a Joker.
Shit. Okay.
But it's not. It's for 2 years everyone has been like the Joker thugs in the trailer, and then I was like, wait a minute, and then I started like Googling, and I was on like Reddit, and I was like, does anyone else? And then there was like a whole thing dedicated to these aren't Joker thugs, they're definitely just skeletons, and I was like, fuck.
That's good.
That is, I prefer
because
that.
we're definitely not going to see the Joker in this movie, which we need a break from anyway. It's just wow, 2 years we thought the completely wrong thing just because,
Yeah.
like you said, confirmation bias was the only thing backing that up.
We were literally just like, white makeup, it's gotta be the Joker.
Yeah, like I convinced myself that the makeup around the lips was like reddish. It probably wasn't either.
I think it's just his lips, but it's black. I'm pretty sure. I mean, we can put a still here.
Yeah.
But like, I'm pretty sure that's all it is.
Okay.
But also, I had said, you and I, we talked about this also on the Dark Knight podcast with Carol, but the idea that maybe like the end of this trilogy is the Joker. Like the Joker shows up in 3 to be like, I'm here, and this is like the final battle in this. Because like trilogies are always somewhat self-contained. Like we can make more movies. I don't care. I do a TV show, but like, in terms of this trilogy of movies, I think Joker would be cool at the end. Or, if you're gonna bring him in, have him be a bit part. Like, I don't necessarily want a movie entirely centered around Joker being the bad guy. Just because we've seen so much of it, there's been a lot of good and a lot of bad. But even just in comics, we've seen so much of it. And there's so many, like, I want a Mr. Freeze movie. You know? Like,
yeah.
That's such an interesting character.
So many Batman villains have not had the... their justice in, no pun intended, in like a live action portrayal.
Yeah, I totally agree. So like I don't think I need the Joker, but if you're gonna do it and if you're gonna have him be the main bad guy, make it the third one in the trilogy. But
Yeah.
I would rather not. I would rather he just be this ever present thing in Gotham.
He has to be there.
At some point.
Like, we both agree. Again, even if he's not the main character, he must, it's so crucial for him to exist in Gotham City.
Yes.
Even if, well, I guess it's impossible for this to be true, but even if, hypothetically, he was already dead. Not at the hands of Batman, but, like, he doesn't exist anymore, so we can't have him in any more movies, but
he had existed.
He has.
Like, in Batman's year 1, let's say, like, in his original... Because this movie takes place, like, a little bit after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, that could totally work. As long as it's not tied into Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, then
yeah, that got me thinking, like, what if the Joaquin Phoenix one is canon and that movie only existed to kill Bruce Wayne's parents and now, like, that's the only Joker this universe ever had?
That would suck. I mean, it would explain a lot. It would explain Bruce's parents being pieces of shit.
Yeah, because that ties into that movie.
It would explain Bruce's, like thinner, kind of floppy hair, because he kind of looks like that as a kid in that movie. If they were Joker thugs, it would have explained the Joker thugs, but they're not.
Yeah.
So that works. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think Joker's got to be, his presence has to be there somehow. I'm thinking a lot, and it's not my favorite of the games, but Arkham Knight, like, I like how they, even though Joker died in City, they brought him back in Night to be, like, a part of Bruce Wayne's psyche, which I think was cool. A cool take to be like, he's still here, but like you don't actually have to like punch him, and he's not like orchestrating the plot.
It is just it's hard to predict because this Batman has only been operating for like a year-ish.
Yes.
Right. So I find it hard to believe that, not that he would have started facing the Joker within that year, but that would have been done.
Agreed.
The year. So it's kind of hard to place.
You know what I like that we could do is do the Joker origin without bringing attention to it being the Joker origin. Whether it's in the timeline of the movie we're watching, or if it's in the movie but a flashback to year 1, have the thing of Batman stopping a crime and some guy falls over into a vat of chemicals. But like, just end it. Like, don't show that this guy went on to be the Joker. Just like, have that scene, and then in like a movie or 2 movies, be like, oh, remember that guy? He's the Joker now. And just have it be a nice little setup payoff, even though like we would all know. But I think that would go such a long way in terms of, yeah, he's here and his presence is going to be here, but we're taking our time with it. No need to rush. It's cool. We got all day. So
yeah, the main point is that we both agree. Hold off on the Joker for now because we don't need that right now. There's so many other cool things in this universe
so much
to develop that would fit well in this adaptation.
I have a few miscellaneous things. Do you have any more?
I've gone through all the stuff I've written down.
Cool.
So
I want to go back a little bit. You had mentioned when we were talking about Gotham and stuff, like Coulson as one of the guys.
Yeah.
In the web, he's the district attorney. So he's also the guy in the car. You know, like in the funeral, they're at a funeral, and then a car crashes through, and then the guy gets out of the car and he's got a little thing on his hand.
How do you know that?
It was like revealed. Like it's the same actor like from IMDb, and then I just saw people like commenting basically like this is This is this actor, so that's Coulson. What's interesting about that scene is that we know how the entire scene plays out from the trailers, right? So Bruce Wayne is there at this funeral. This happens. Everyone flees. It's like daytime. Then we get a shot of nighttime Batman who has come back to the scene, I guess, and the guy is still there, and he like talks to the Riddler on the phone. It's the same shot, like it's the same scene. So like everyone flees, including Bruce, puts on his Batman costume, comes back, the guy's still there, he like talks to the Riddler on the phone, and then we also see the shot, we see it in 2 different trailers from different angles of Coulson blowing up. Like, this guy dies in that scene. So Batman comes back, he talks to the Riddler on the phone, the Riddler's probably gonna be like, ooh, like, here's your next clue or something, like, whatever.
Collect this Riddler trophy and get back to me after that.
Do you think we're gonna get, sidebar, any hint to Riddler trophies of this?
No, I don't think so. Do you?
I would just love
There might be, if anything, out of focus on the shelf in the background,
Yes.
like a question mark shaped trophy or something.
Yes.
That's like, I don't think it would go any farther
But
than
what
that.
if, like that scene where all the bombs go off, what if the bombs are in the shape of Riddler trophies? Like, what if that's just the shape of the bomb? It looks kind of like a Riddler trophy.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think his paraphernalia is definitely going to have question marks on it.
Yeah, totally.
So it could be interpreted as something like that.
I hope. I just want tiny, like, obviously Batman's not going to go around collecting Riddler trophies, but like...
Well, has Matt Reeves confirmed nor denied if he's a fan of the games?
So he hasn't, but he is clearly such a fan of the character, and a lot of the niche stuff they've been referencing, like, it's not that niche, but like Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which is based on the animated series, and like the games are heavily inspired from the animated series. So I got to imagine that he would be at least aware of Riddler trophies as a concept.
He seems in touch.
He seems in touch, yeah, and he seems particularly in touch with Batman. But
Maybe
yeah,
you can only see the end credit scene if he collects all the Riddler trophies. Sorry.
Even like you said, even if maybe when they go to capture the Riddler, there's just like a Riddler trophy on a shelf out of focus. Like, that would make me so happy.
I could believe that, just like a prop that's a little nod to the...
Yeah. So Coulson definitely dies. Like, he blows up in the trailer. Yeah. We've basically seen that whole scene from the trailers.
They actually even released that scene.
Oh, did they?
I didn't watch it, but it is just the funeral scene.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's like 2.5 minutes or
Maybe
something.
that's how people know he's Coulson in the comments and stuff.
Maybe.
I thought they just pieced it together from IMDb, but okay. He dies, which means, as you know, Dan, Gotham needs a new district attorney.
Yeah, I know where this is going.
I think we could definitely be setting up Two-Face.
At least Harvey Dent. Yeah.
At least Harvey Dent.
Even if they don't do Two-Face in this, I mean, I feel like if they do Harvey Dent, they would eventually do Two-Face. But...
Yes. But hopefully they can do that thing that I've always fucking wanted of having a little bit of time with Harvey Dent before he's Two-Face.
Yes.
Like, the thing that I've always said of, I can't believe in Batman Begins, Rachel's boyfriend isn't just Harvey Dent. Like,
yeah.
It makes so much sense for him, because she's dating the next DA too, who is Harvey Dent, so like, just make the first one her. Anyway, I hope we do that in this, but I wanted to talk about Coulson on that front. I want to talk about the suit a little bit. This is something you and I have talked a lot about. It looks like a very proto-Batman suit, at least like the armor of it. The cowl and the cape I absolutely love. Like,
yeah,
I hope they keep it forever. I love that.
But especially like the boots
yes.
and stuff, it's very utilitarian.
Very. Even like his gauntlets are a little bit utilitarian. I do like the Assassin's Creed, like the grapple gun shoots out of the gauntlet. I think that's so cool.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, that is... Oh my god, keep that forever. That's incredible.
Has that ever been done before in Batman?
I don't think so, because normally they're more like gloves. They're not mechanical. So, like, that's cool, the idea of keeping it mechanical so we can, like,
fly!
But yeah, like, the utility belt looks like you went to a store and bought a utility belt and all that.
I definitely, for the record, like, in this first movie, prefer that it starts out this way.
It's fine. It's fine to start out this way. Yeah, I totally agree. And I also think, like, the gun that makes the bat, like...
Oh, yeah.
It sucks, but it's fine as long as they do something with it. And, like, that's my whole crux with this, is I have a theory about what's going to happen. Okay? And we talked about this, but I'm going to put it out here.
Yeah, go for it.
So, a little bit of context. In the 1980s, when Frank Miller was writing Batman, he kind of retconned why Batman would ever have a yellow symbol on his chest. The idea being that, like, well, wearing armor everywhere is too heavy, so I only reinforce one part of my chest with metal, and I wear the yellow symbol, that way when I, like, jump out, that's what draws gunfire. It was just, like, this fun little recontextualization he did to, like, make it make sense when he was trying to make Batman more serious, because Batman was kind of a joke. So, That's that. Then many years later, in an annual. So annuals, for anyone that doesn't know, in comic world, are just like these, every year, like a special issue that they'll bring on like a creator and an artist just to tell like a singular story.
Is it canon?
Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Depends. So there was one annual written by Kevin Smith, famous director, writer, podcaster, where he took that idea of the metal plate, but he explained that the metal that was used in the plate was actually like Joe Chill, the guy who killed Bruce's parents. It was his gun melted down. Like at some point Batman had acquired the gun and he melted it down to put it there. The metaphor obviously being very obvious of like the thing that like created me is now like protecting me, which like it's an obvious metaphor, but also like Batman in and of itself is very obvious and on the nose a lot of the time, so I don't mind that. Like I don't mind Batman being kind of dramatic and dumb because like...
Well, it's in character for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He dresses up like a bat. Like, I'm cool with a little bit of like... like in the trailer, we talked about this, and my favorite line is when the Riddler's like, it can be cruel, poetic, or blind. Whatever. I forget the rest of the riddle, and Batman says, it's justice, the answer is justice, and I was like, alright, well, you did it. You just made the best Batman movie, like...
It can be cruel, poetic, or blind. But when it's denied, it's through violence you may find
Justice. The answer's justice.
I know it's stupid, but I love that shit. I think Batman in this movie, like we said, is going to be very aggressive, very black and white, very... This fucking gun that like took my whole life is on my chest, so that way people know like I am vicious and whatever. Then I think we're going to get a classic end of the second act. Everything is broken, including Batman's suit. And I actually have reason to believe this might happen, because there is a shot in the trailer of like, what it looks like it's Batman like crashing through a bunch of stuff. Not like gliding, but like legitimately crashing through stuff. And I think what's going to happen is Batman's going to be chased by the police. And there's going to be some turning point where the Riddler tricks everyone into thinking Batman's a bad guy. And he's going to be chased by the police. His suit is going to be fucked up. And there's that scene in the trailer of Selina wearing like a purple wig and Bruce, and he's got the hood up, but he's got like the eye makeup on. And at first I was like, oh, I wonder if they're doing that thing from like Batman Year One, because it is, the visual similarity is from Batman Year One. There's like a panel in Batman Year One insert of like Bruce walking around with the hood up, of like as a proto Batman. And I was like, I wonder if they're doing that. And then I was like, I wonder if they're doing Matches Malone, who is like Bruce has like a character that he plays to get information, where he's a mobster character named Matches Malone.
Wow, I had no knowledge of that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Like every once in a while, if he can't get information as Batman, he just shows up and he's like, "Hey, how's it go?" Like he's like a mobster. Yeah, okay. It's like a old holdover from comics, but it can be fun if done properly. So at first I was like, I wonder if that's what that is. But like, why would he be wearing the eye makeup? And then I realized, well, Selina was in a wig too. And then I thought, okay, cool. It all makes sense. Everything's gonna come crashing down. His suit's gonna be destroyed. Selina and him are gonna have like a quick costume change. This is gonna be how he escapes the police. Is he has to leave at least the majority of his costume behind, put on this disguise. That's why he still has the eye makeup. Go back to the Batcave. Then we're gonna get the Alfred, my life is over, what am I gonna do? I can't. And then Alfred's gonna be like, why do we fall? Whatever this movie's equivalent of why do we fall is, Alfred's gonna say. And then I think we're gonna get a new Batsuit to symbolize going into the third act, but I think Bruce is gonna take whatever remnants of the suit he had, which is probably just gonna be the chest piece with the thing, and melt it down and make it as a steel plate for his new Batsuit going forward. Will it happen? Probably not. But like, I feel like the pieces are there in the trailer, and like metaphorically, I think it works for what this story is, of Bruce having to like evolve in his mind what Batman is, and like Selina helping him do that. And like, as we go into the third act, like that evolution should have taken place, and the idea of like making a new suit for that as well. It's pretty like standard superhero stuff, that like the suit is a metaphor for where they're at. So like losing the suit in the second act and coming up with a new one, I think makes sense. I don't hate the suit, like I think it's fine, but it's got to go somewhere. It's got to evolve. And I would be sad if like we have to wait for another movie to get the evolution of it. Like I would like at the end of this movie to have the new version, to have that story be complete of like, this is what Batman has become now. And also to have the gun thing make sense, because I absolutely hate it. Unless he's going to metaphorically get rid of it, I don't want it.
Metaphorically get rid of it?
Or like literally get rid of it as a metaphor for his growth.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Well, maybe it'll just be lost in the other suit completely.
or that. Even if that happens, I would be fine with that. Just because, like, it's gotta go at some point. It can't be there forever.
Is it actually confirmed that that was Joe Chill's gun?
I cannot find, maybe it's out there, I don't know. I can't find a quote from Matt Reeves or anyone saying it is. But, like, it very much looks like it's a gun.
And I don't know who else's gun it would be.
If between us recording this and, well, you're editing this before it comes out, if some information comes, you can absolutely just put it up here.
Yeah.
I mean, it totally could be confirmation bias as well, like the Joker thing.
True. But the only thing is, you're right, it definitely looks like pieces of a gun. And what other gun in Batman's history would be significant enough to make a bat symbol out of?
I had one more thing, which is that I think I know how this... Well, I don't think I know how the movie's going to end, but, like, I know how I would like the movie to end.
Okay.
Okay? Here's my theory on that, is there's the shot in the trailer of Bruce beating the shit out of those guys in the first trailer, and we get the "I'm vengeance" line.
I'm vengeance.
Which is dope. And then we also get toward right at the end of that trailer, a quick shot, and I think I talked about this when we did our, like, year and a half ago now, when we, like, reviewed that first trailer. But there's a quick shot of Bruce from behind, like, rising into frame to face those guys.
Oh, yeah.
I thought for sure that was actually going to be, like, the last scene in the movie, and that we, just when we had seen the first trailer, that was going to be the last scene in the movie, and that we were going to get the full "I am vengeance, I am the night, I'm Batman," which, for anyone who doesn't know, is from Batman the Animated Series. This scene where, like, Bruce has been doused by fear toxin from Scarecrow, and he's trying to climb up this blimp to get to Scarecrow, and the whole episode...
A blimp?
Yeah, because it's the animated series, so there's blimps.
Oh, okay.
Just like the Arkham games. Yeah, so as he's like climbing up, and throughout the episodes, like, Bruce's biggest fear in that episode is that he keeps having visions of his father being like, "What are you doing? Like, you're an asshole. Like, stop." Like, he's like, he basically, like, that he's his father's ashamed, and that he's ruining the family legacy. And he's like grappling with that. He's like, I really think I'm doing the right thing, but, like, what if I'm not? And Alfred ultimately has to be like, no, you are. Your parents would be proud of you. Which, like, they wouldn't, but, like, it's okay. But yeah, and then we get this moment of him, like, climbing the thing, and there's just, like, this horrifying thing of his father that turns into, like, a skeleton, and it's, like, about to, like, completely take him over, and then he just fights it off by saying the line of, "No, I'm not a failure, I'm vengeance, I'm the night, I am Batman." And he just, like, wills away his fear, and then Scarecrow's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And then Bruce, like, beats the shit out of him. And it's, like, a really great moment.
You are not my father. I am not a disgrace. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
It's a very iconic Batman line. And I thought that would be that scene from the trailer, and that it would be, like, the end of it. That would be the end of the movie. But then, in trailer 2, we see that there's an entire extended fight with him and those guys, and he, like, even tasers one of those guys. And then in trailer 3, Selina refers to him as Vengeance. She's like, "Alright, Vengeance, like, show me what you got."
Come on, Vengeance. Let's get into some trouble.
So it clearly comes much
So
earlier.
clearly, yes. So now I have a new theory.
Okay.
Just to make my theory make sense, okay?
Also, before you say that, it also, like, because he's so brutal in that scene, for that reason, too, it must
It's
come
gotta be
earlier.
early in the movie,
Yeah.
right?
I'm thinking, like, one of the first fight scenes.
Because he wanted to learn the lesson. My theory was out the water, but now I have to find a way to make my theory make sense again, because I just want it to happen so bad. So, here's what I think is going to happen. There's a shot in the trailer of those skeleton face thugs, just, like, in a train at some point. Like, just riding a train somewhere. Here's what I think. I think the movie is going to start with these skeleton guys on Halloween wearing this as a disguise, and they're going to rob somewhere or something. And the first, like, 5 minutes are all going to be from their perspective. Keep in mind, this is like a 3-hour movie that was a 4-hour movie that they cut down to 3 hours. So, like, clearly the pacing is going to be very slow. So I think, like, the first 5 minutes are going to be these skeleton guys, all from their perspective on Halloween. They rob someone, they get on this train, they think they get away, yada yada. And then they're at the place wherever they're at, and Batman shows up. And they're like, "What the hell are you?" And he just fucks them up. And I think that's literally going to be Batman's first scene in the movie. And he says, "I am vengeance," and he beats the shit out of them. And then, I think at the end of the movie, we're going to get a callback to that, but he's going to say the full line. And I think he's going to say, "I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman." And I think that's going to be the end of the movie. Are you concerned about Gordon at all? What are your thoughts on
I haven't really given him too much thought. I'm excited because I like that actor, and the performance from the trailers looked good. I just haven't really thought too much about him. I'm curious to see what you're thinking.
Yeah, no, my concern, I love the casting as well. I think he's a great actor. His performance looks good. The look looks good. You know, my concern is really just, I don't know what role he's going to play that's not going to be what we've already seen Gary Oldman do. Like, everyone else in this that we've seen in other stuff looks very distinct in what their role is. Whereas Gordon in this looks a little bit, even maybe pulled back from what Gary Oldman was doing as Gordon in The Dark Knight. Like, in The Dark Knight, he felt way more... And again, we've only seen the trailers. I could be totally wrong. This is a 3-hour movie. But in The Dark Knight, he felt way more like a partner, way more like he had character development. Like, I always go to, like, that scene at the end of The Dark Knight when he's just fucked and he pulls the gun on Batman and he's like, we're done! He's like, I'm gonna shoot these clowns, I'm gonna save Harvey, and Batman's like, dude, you need to trust me. Like, just, like, how much of an arc Gordon gets in those movies and, like, how integral he is. Whereas in these trailers, he does just seem kind of like the cop that's nice to Batman. But, again, it's just trailers. But if there was one thing I was concerned about, it is sort of like, what do you do with Gordon that we didn't see in those movies? Like, Batman is a way richer character. Gordon is fundamentally always sort of Gordon, so I don't know what they're going to do with that.
In the trailers, he does seem a bit more subdued than when we first meet, like, Gary Oldman's Commissioner Gordon in Batman Begins. I think most of what we've seen, with some exceptions, is going to be, like, the first half of the movie anyway.
I think so too.
So there's still a lot of room to go forward from what we have seen.
Like, it's obviously early in Batman's career, but I don't love that we're doing the thing of, like, there's another commissioner and, like...
Oh yeah, because they did that in the Nolan one.
Yeah, and it's like he has to become commissioner. I'm like...
Can you ever just start out as the commissioner?
How about he's just commissioner? I know we're early in the career, but, like, that's fine. You know? It's okay.
Yeah.
He can just be commissioner, because again, it's sort of like, okay, so... the commissioner's gonna die, and then he's gonna be promoted, and then he's gonna have to be commissioner.
And we see that the commissioner's gonna die in this movie.
But
it blows up.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the reason they're doing that is because whatever conspiracy plot, they need the commissioner to be a part of that plot, and that can't be Gordon, because Gordon has to be good.
Yeah,
I think
course.
that's why they're doing it.
It is just unfortunate, though, because, like, the Nolan one... Batman and Gordon kind of evolve together.
Yes.
And it would be nice to see, for a change, Batman evolving with an already, like, a Commissioner Gordon who has already been in the game for a while.
Yeah, and I do like the idea, since a lot of what we've been talking about with this Batman is, like, that he is actually going to be the least put together of everyone. Which is cool, because normally he's the most. So the idea that it's Catwoman, it's Gordon, it's all these other people that help him funnel his rage into being the Batman that we know is cool. That, like, Gordon, like Selina is, like, his moral compass in a way, or not his moral compass, I guess that's weird to say, but, like, his moral, like, dose of reality, and Gordon is sort of, like, the practical, like, all right, like, here's how you do detective work, like, whatever, like, so they kind of help form him into the Batman that we know. But I mean, I guess there's a way to still do that even without him being commissioner, but I know what you mean. It is going to definitely be the thing of, like, Batman's being Batman and Gordon's being commissioner, and they have to, like, help each other out to, like, get to where they want to go.
To work their way up in their own little
their
stories,
corporate ladders,
yeah.
to get promotions.
Yeah. I'll just drive home. We definitely don't want anything to do with Joker in this movie.
No, definitely.
Please, no. To extend that, I hope in the future of these movies we do get more villains that either we've never seen before on screen in live action, or ones that we have that were played by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
And portrayed horribly.
Yes.
So.
I hope the universe continues to get weirder.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's something we have talked about too, is that we haven't mentioned in this video yet. This is a really good starting point for, like, right now, as this movie looks to be. It looks to be in the perfect midway point between the realistic Nolan universe and, like, the weird game universe, which is, we've mentioned before, is, like, a really good way to tackle the tone of Batman. I think it's in the perfect starting place right now that it's ingestible for anyone, whether you're a huge Batman fan or just someone who wants to see, like, a realistic kind of how this could exist in real life, you know? And then from here, you could go forward to make it weirder as you go. Like, wean us into that weird evolving Gotham that is like out of time, and like you come to realize the city would never be a city you could actually like picture in the real world.
Exactly.
We start here and then we work our way there.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to see that too.
Yeah, that would sort of be my only other concern. Is just that tonally we're just stuck again in this like everything has to be real universe where like every villain is like Riddler's a Zodiac killer and this guy is this guy, and it's like no, like, and I don't think because like the Penguin looks silly, like he looks good but he looks silly, and like Selina looks like comic book Selina and she's wearing like a cat mask. Like it's not super real. Like you can have fun with it, and I think this is a great starting point to then expand upon that. As we go. Overall, excited?
Super excited.
Yeah, me too. I hope it's good. I mean, as of the day we're recording this, it's legitimately less than a month away. It's 29 days away from when we're recording this. And also, like, it's not our fault if we spoiled. If anything we said happens...
Oh, yeah. These are complete guesses, so...
We're just good. Just someone should hire us if anything we said happens. We're just very good at pitching things that will end up happening in a movie.
Also, just want to reiterate this episode of the FLP. I guess this is a bonus episode, right?
Yeah, this is a
technically
bonus episode.
Like, I just want to reiterate, it was almost entirely inspired by Red Letter Media's prediction videos, so go check them out. I can't believe you would find us before ever hearing who Red Letter Media are.
Yeah.
But if you have, by any chance, they're really funny. Go check them out. Also, we don't have even 1% of their production value.
Not even close.
We're well aware of that. But
Yes.
we're just here to have fun, and I did have fun going through these theories.
Me too. Regardless of anything, we're definitely going to do a quick review of the Batman when that drops.
Yeah, just a bonus episode, probably.
So, if you enjoyed this, we'll do a review of that when it drops, but then also we got tons of stuff on our channel.
Yep.
Lots of fun stuff. Just going about through movies with our various themes, you know?
And our other co-host, Carolina,
who does not live in the same city as us, so could not be a part of this.
Yeah. Thanks for watching / listening.